Okay, so today we're going to discuss a few dimensions within an angel. There are a lot of mentions of angels in the Torah, in our prayers, and angels play a major role in the Torah. And this Torah portion mentions angels twice as well, and I wanted to talk about angels especially now because it's obvious that we're living in the times of Mashiach. It's become a lot more obvious to a lot of us more recently. The Rabbi spoke 35 years ago about the elevation of the nations of the world. Rabbi spoke about the transformation in Russia, where Russia opened its doors and allowed Jews to leave Russia, allowed Jews to keep Torah mitzvahs. And the chief rabbi of West Berlin visited the Rebbe before Yom Kippur, and the Rebbe gave him, and he asked the Rebbe for a blessing for West Berlin, and the Rebbe gave him a honey cake and said, "This is for the entire Berlin." And shortly afterwards, there was a famous speech of President Reagan, "I'm looking into the Reichsguard, tear down that wall." And many other dramatic changes happened that year, the year that the Rebbe called the Year of Miracles, Tafshin Nun, 5750. And it was obvious miracles that happened that year, and especially this week, when they're mentioned how Jacob wrestled with Esau, Yaakov wrestled with Esav, and the Torah says that Esav kissed Yaakov. So we see a transformation. And the Rebbe pointed out that the transformation that we're seeing in many countries, Mashiach hasn't come yet, so it's not perfect in any of these countries, but the transformation that happened that year in Russia, in China, in India, it was something extraordinary. And yet, although these were major revolutions in each of these countries, it happened without bloodshed. It happened very quickly and very dramatically, but it wasn't through years of war. This week, Israel completely decimated the Syrian army, navy, and air force. People growing up in Israel always were in very deep fear of Syria. Syria, proxy, terrorists, Iran, axis of evil. It's not over, but this is a major victory for the Jewish people, because this was a formidable foe on our borders. And so the fact that they've been completely wiped out militarily is a major change in the whole political and the safety of the Jewish people. This is in a way it's a far greater miracle than the 6-Day War. The 6-Day War was in 6 days and it was still a war. This was just, it's gone, as if it never was. It's unbelievable. So we're living in times of Mashiach, and it's possible to be living in the time of Mashiach, but personally, individually, we're not there. It's possible to be living in a very wonderful environment, but not to be an angel yourself. And the famous story of the Chassid of Shmuel Munkes. Shmuel Munkes was traveling on a wagon to visit his Rebbe, the Alter Rebbe, and the wagon had many containers of vodka. So Rabbi Shmuel asked the wagon driver if he would mind if he took a little swig of vodka. So it was a freezing Russian night, and Rabbi Shmuel took a little swig of vodka, and he realized that although he was surrounded by the vodka, until he took a little swig, he was frozen, he was freezing. When he took a little bit inside of himself, that changed everything. So in a similar way, we may be living in the times of Mashiach. We have to learn a little bit more about the time of Mashiach in a personal way to be there. And that's what we're meant to do at this time, as we're standing now on the brink of the global change of the coming of Mashiach. So let's look at a little bit of this week's Torah portion, and let's bring it home to ourselves and see how we can learn something from the angels. I want to talk today about 4 dimensions in the angels, 4 different elements in angels. Hey, we're all used to in our culture with angels having wings and dressed in white, Why can't angels have 4 dimensions? L'chaim. It was the last Shabbos before the passing of the Mezritcher Maggid, the successor of the Baal Shem Tov, the teacher of the first Rebbe of Chabad, the Alter Rebbe. He gathered together the Chavraya Kadisha, the members of the Holy Brotherhood, and he gave them the following message, which was sort of like his last will and testament. He said, in this week's Torah portion, it says that Yaakov sent angels. And Rashi says they were literally angels. Lachem mamish. So the Mezritcher Maggid said that Yaakov only sent the physical of the angel, not the spiritual. The mamish of the angel, which mamish can be translated as literally, also can be translated as something you could touch with your fingers. Only the bodily, corporal, touchable part of the angels was sent to Esau, but the spirituality and the soul of the angel remained with Yaakov, with Yaakov, didn't leave. That's what the Maggid said. So, just to understand that a little bit more, it's not possible for any creature to move without a soul. Every creature has a soul, even the inanimate has a soul. So it's not possible for angels to travel anywhere without souls. So what does it mean that the angels went without their souls? Doesn't make sense. Also, if Yaakov wants to give his brother a message, he wants to change his brother, the best way to change his brother is by sending an otherworldly being. The more angelic, the better. And yet, Yaakov didn't, according to the Mezritcher Maggid, send the higher part of the angel, but the lower part. Why is it in the lower part? If you want to zap him with your best. And also, the way the Maggid translates this verse seems to be completely at odds with the way Rashi translates it. Rashi says, mamish angels, really spiritual, really angelic. However, the Maggid says, really corporal, really physical, really touchable, not really spiritual, really physical. Which one is it? It seems the opposite. So the answer is that the Baal Shem Tov taught, you are where you want to be. So, although the angels went body and soul to do their mission, they went to Esau body and soul. However, because they desired to stay with Yaakov, they didn't want to go on their mission. They rather would be with Yaakov. So therefore, they became even more angelic when they were in Esau's presence. Because they wanted to be with Yaakov, they weren't affected by the change of their environment. Had they gone to Esau willingly, this is where they want to be, then that would have changed who they were. Because they wanted to stay with Yaakov, and they're only going to Esau because of this mission, that classified them, even in the presence of Esau, as men of Yaakov, as angels of Yaakov, as spiritual beings. So we could say that they were only there superficially, even though they were there spiritually, even though they're there physically and spiritually. But we could say they were only there superficially, as the Maggid says, because they didn't want to be there. So in a similar way, this mission of Yaakov to Esau has a parallel in our lives as well, in the way we engage with the physical. If we engage in the physical because we want to be in the physical, so then we're affected by it. But if we engage in the physical only because Hashem wants us to engage in the physical, because Hashem wants us to elevate the physical, then that transforms who we are when we're engaging in the physical. Are we there because we want to be there, or are we there because we're sent there? It's a different experience. And this is something the Maggid said before he passed away, in his last Shabbos, the Shabbos of Vayishlach, right before he passed away, because this was something that he needed to convey to his student, especially the Alter Rebbe who succeeded him, and tell him something about what he was doing with the teachings of Chassidus. What was doing with the teachings of Chassidus? He was revealing the soul of the Torah. Just like the soul of the Torah was revealed, so too in ourselves, Chassidus allows our soul to be revealed in our bodies in a different way. So that not only are we doing what the Torah wants externally, but that we are actually living in sync with our soul while we're engaged in the physical. So that we're eating for the right reasons, we're doing business for the right reasons, we're completely engaged in the physical, yes, the way Hashem wants us to be, but that's not where our heart and mind is. That's not why. That's not the why. It's not the why. It's the what, but not the why. And when the why is different, the what is different too. So this is something that Chassidus uniquely gives us, that as the Talmud tells us, that all of our deeds should be for the sake of heaven, all our ways we should know Hashem. That's something that we get especially from the teachings of Chassidus, and that's why this was something that the Maggid shared before he passed away. So he's teaching us how to be more angelic when we engage with the physical. To put this in perspective, I want to share two stories. First story is about the Alter Rebbe. By the Alter Rebbe, there was once a very honored guest that was coming to visit, Shlomo of Karlin, and everyone in the family wanted to participate in preparing the food for him. And the Alter Rebbe's Rebbetzin Sterna, she said, I have rights to the kitchen every week. Why should I lose these rights just because we have an honored guest? And she was right. And so she was given the rights to prepare the food for this honored guest. But everyone else in the home secretly decided to participate themselves and put in a little bit of salt into the food. And so when the soup was served, the guest couldn't eat it because it was so salty. But the Alter Rebbe, he tasted it and he continued eating it. The way people say the story is that the Alter Rebbe said to his guest, why can't you eat it? Is it not salty enough? And his guest incredulously asked the Alter Rebbe, how can you eat it? It's so salty. And the Alter Rebbe said that once I visited the Mitzvah Maggid, I no longer taste the physical. He only tasted the mitzvah of enjoying Shabbos, but the physical taste didn't speak to him. Wasn't even noticed. That's one story. Let's take that to the opposite perspective, the opposite side of the spectrum. The Baal Shem Tov would often sit with his students, put his holy arms on the shoulders of his students near him, and they would all sit interlocked with all their arms and the shoulders of the students next to them, and he would tell them to close their eyes and they would see things. On one occasion, the Baal Shem Tov told them to close their eyes, and they saw an ox eating the cholent, eating the traditional dish we eat on Shabbos, the cholent. And the Baal Shem Tov explained that you are where you want to be. Because this guy wanted the cholent so much, he became the cholent. He is the cholent. He is the ox. So there's a whole spectrum of how we can engage with the physical. How present we could be with Yaakov, and how present we could be with Esav. And that will determine the kind of impact we have in the physical world. So I want to share with you another element of being an angel. There's another teaching of another Hasidic master about this Rashi and the literal translation of the verse. Did Jacob send angels, or did Jacob send regular messengers? Those are two valid translations in the Torah. Which one was it? So the Hasidic masters say, depends who you ask. If you ask Yaakov is very spiritual. What is an angel? An angel isn't the thing with wings. An angel is a spiritual entity. And the angel needs to dress itself in a body, in some kind of body, to have an impact in the world. So what did Yaakov send? Yaakov sends a spiritual energy. Yaakov, what did you send? I sent an angel. Esav, who came to your house? Esav is a whole different perspective. Esav lives in an earthy, physical perspective. So from the perspective of Esav, who is in his house, who has arrived in his house? Regular people. Yaakov sees angels, Esav sees regular people. Look at next week's Torah portion. Joseph is going to see his brothers, Yosef, and from a distance, the Torah says, they saw him and they wanted to kill him. Why did they want to kill him? The Chassidic masters say because they saw him from a distance. They looked at him from their own perspective. He was trying to hurt them. He was trying to attack them. But he really wasn't. They didn't see that at all, because they could only see things from their own perspective. And that's why they looked at him as a threat, and that's why they wanted to kill him. They looked at Yosef as the enemy. Why? Because they saw him from a distance. They didn't see him as an angel, they saw him as an attacker. So what allows us to realize the inside of another person has a lot to do with the way we live, the way we act. If we live more with Yaakov, if we're engaging with the physical only because we have to, we don't engage with the physical because we want to, that affects the way we see people. Do we look at people as earthy, as jealous, and with agendas? was telling a friend of mine yesterday, this guy has no agenda. He's just a sincere person without an agenda, and he's looking for a soulmate. If you need someone, looking for a man, a great guy, very religious. Anyways, so I said to him, you're going to have a hard time finding a soulmate because people will not realize you don't have an agenda, that he's really true blue. So what allows us to see that in others, to see the angel in others, is the only way we engage in the physical. If we want to be with Yaakov, then we see things from Yaakov's perspective. We see angels in others. If we are engaged in the physical and we're bearing the brunt of the sandbox of the physical world, then we look at everybody else as fighting in the sandbox too, and we see different than others. So that's the second element in an angel. That there are angels around us. God sends to us people in our lives that are there, that everyone can look in their own life and see the people in their lives, they've done something, said something, and your life was changed forever. That person was an angel for you. And there are people all around that God's sending to you, and you hear something, it's an angel. God has a message for you, and He sends it to you through an angelic person. A Jew who means it, and at some level. And in order to notice all the messages God sends us and to be open to it, we have to want to be with Yaakov. We have to know what the goal is. We have to know what the playing field is. We have to know what the purpose of why the soul is in the body. This leads us to a third element of an angel. The third element of an angel is this. Torah says later on this Torah portion, Jacob wrestles with the angel of Esau. He wins. What does he do after he wins? After he wins, he goes over to the angel and he says, give me a blessing. What a blessing. It sounds like the famous Jewish joke that when a Jew finally makes a fist, what does he do when he makes a fist? He finally makes making a fist. He says, Ashamnu, we are guilty, we are sorry. Jacob wins the angel. And what does he do when he wins the angel? He asks him for a blessing. Why would he ask this demon for a blessing? Jacob was teaching us something very profound. What was he teaching us? He was teaching us that nothing Hashem sends us is just bad. Everything God sends us has purpose. If there is an encounter that has frustration, it has angst, there's a soul there, there's a light there, there's a blessing there. Yaakov sees in this encounter with the angel of Esau, he sees there's something deeper going on. It's not just a bad thing. There's something good here. And Yaakov knew that this is a source of blessing. Yes, it was a fight, but that fight must also be a blessing. In Hashem's world, there is always something good that God is giving us. Nothing bad comes from God. There must be something good here. So therefore, Jacob says to the angel, bless me. I know there's something good here. There's a story they say about this guy who joined the Mossad. I don't know if it's a true story. And I don't know if I want to join the Mossad after hearing the story, but listen to the story. I heard the story was, this guy was deployed in a foreign country, and one day he is accosted by these group of men. They take him, and they accuse him of being an agent of the Mossad, and he says, I'm not an agent of the Mossad. And they torture him, they waterboarding the works. And there's a guy, of course, he's completely broken by all the torture. But on the other hand, he's steadfast. He doesn't open his cards. No, I'm not. I know I'm not from the Mossad. Anyways, after they do one round of torture, they took a break. So we're coming back. They go outside, and this guy had a unique sense for hearing, and he could hear outside not the words that they were saying, but he could hear they were talking in Hebrew. And he realized that this wasn't the enemy. This was the Mossad. You can imagine how that transformed this whole experience. It was no longer that he was in the hands of the demons. He was being tested, and he was winning this test to show his integrity, that he was able to. He has this inner strength to stay faithful to his mission. Yaakov sees in the fight with the angel. What does Yaakov see? Hi, Ariel. Yaakov sees in the fight with the angel. Yaakov sees something deeper. He sees there's a blessing here. So that's a third element in an angel. In every experience we have in life, there's an angel there. There's a blessing there. There's something good there. Which leads us to the fourth element of an angel. And that is how each of us is meant to be an angel to others. You know, on Yom Kippur, we dress all in white. Why do we dress in white? Because we're like angels. Are we like angels? I don't know about you. I don't like fasting. I like eating. I like drinking. Yom Kippur is not the funnest thing for me. And okay, it's a holy spiritual day. I get that, and I like that too. But I would much rather Purim than Yom Kippur. They say Yom Kippur is like Purim. Much easier. All for that. Anyways, but Yom Kippur, we're like angels. What's the idea of dressing like an angel? We wear all white. What does that mean? Hashem is trying to tell us that we should take a message home for ourselves for the whole year, that our true reality is that we are angels of Hashem, and that we have the ability to bring warmth and light to another person. Someone called me the other day that I should speak to someone to help them, to help them that they should be more aligned with where they need to be. The truth is, the person I spoke didn't need to be didn't need talking to. He didn't need talking to. He just needed to be. He just needed to be just to stop and breathe and think for a second. That's all he needed.
The guy who talked to you.
I should mention that. Good point. He didn't need anything. He just needed just to stop and breathe, and he was there. He was there 100%. Without it wasn't me. It was something within him, and just I was able to be the angel to help him breathe. So we have to ask ourselves: yes, whatever happens in our life is coming from Hashem, and it's good. The question we have to ask ourselves is, who can we be an angel for? On Yom Kippur, Hashem gives us this unique experience that we're meant 24 hours to think that we have an angel in us. It's meant to carry over the whole year. And we're supposed to ask ourselves every day this question. I want to share this story. I've shared this story probably 4 or 5 times in the last, most recently, but I don't think Ariel Urian heard it yet. So I'll tell you the story. L'chaim. There was this emissary of the Rabbi from Germany who brought someone from Germany to visit the Rebbe for the International Conference of Chabad Rabbis a few years ago. The conference was last week, a few years ago. And as customary, everyone goes to visit the Ohel. They go into the Ohel, and because there's so many people, those who are managing the Ohel, they arrange that, as customary, you take off your shoes before entering the Ohel, and that your shoes should be right there when you come out of the Ohel. But this guy had shoes that cost 1,200 euros, and he put his shoes outside the Ohel, and he came out of the Ohel, the shoes weren't there. I don't know who took the shoes, but neither did he, and he was incensed. He was so upset. And he told the rabbi, I'm done with this trip, I'm done with this conference, I'm out of here. And he went to Manhattan, and he changed his whole itinerary. He was supposed to be with the rabbi. The whole thing was over. I'm done. This was Friday. The banquet, the main event is on Sunday. He didn't come. But a week later, he shows up in the Chabad Center. He shows up in the Chabad Center, happy, present, and the rabbi asked what happened. He said, listen, Rabbi, you could understand that when I lost my shoes, I was very upset. 1,200 euro shoes. And I really didn't know what to do with myself. But after a couple of days, I started to think to myself, is that what my life is about? Am I my shoes? Is that what my life is? Is that who I am? And actually, the rabbi said, because his shoes were taken, that actually transformed completely his whole personality. He became a different person. He became a religious, kept Shabbos and started keeping Shabbos and kosher, not because of all the Torah he learned in the Chabad Center, not because of all the Fabrengens and the warm Chassidic gatherings. It was because someone took his shoes. Someone took his shoes, and he realized, this is not what my life is about. So when the angel wrestles with Yaakov knows that this is an angel of God, and this is a blessing here. And in our own lives, it's not so easy to realize that when we're going through something. But the most important thing is, every day we have to ask ourselves, who can we be an angel for? Someone is lonely. So we don't know what we could do with 5 minutes of warmth to someone. We have no idea what we can accomplish. People walk around in Los Angeles, we wave and we smile. A lot of waves and smiles are shallow. They're not there. The people aren't there. And so we need to live a little deeper and be more in touch with who we really are, and be the angel of Hashem as we're living now in the times of Mashiach. We got to get in touch with this. Get in touch with our mission, who we are, and what we're about. And so Mashiach comes very soon. We'll be part of it. I mean, we're all going to be part of it. Mashiach comes, every Jew will be taken there to Israel. But there's we could be coming to Mashiach can come and we can be caught in our pajamas, or Mashiach can come and we're ready for it, and we make Mashiach come faster. So by us, each of us thinking today about who we can be an angel for, we're going to bring Mashiach a moment earlier, a moment faster.
Start with the kamoicha.
Huh?
Start with the kamoicha.
What does that mean?
Look in the mirror first, before you start.
Everywhere, tell us what you're talking about. Yeah, we need to hear this. Tell us. Go ahead.
I said we need to start with ourselves. Look in the mirror and be an angel for yourself. Then start being an angel for everyone else.
Love yourself first, you're saying.
Yes.
Love yourself.
There's no reaction.
You can't love yourself till you love yourself.
Doesn't mean go buy ice cream.
Realize you're the angel first.
Right.
Realize you're the angel.
That's it.
Then you can see the angel in others.
Yes.
Okay, gut gesagt. Gut gesagt. Ah ja, guten Shabbos, a friedlichen Shabbos.